All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking a story that just completely flipped the script on where AI is headed. Just when it felt like everyone was thinking AI progress was getting a little predictable, something happened that nobody saw coming. I mean, just a few weeks ago, this was the vibe. This was the mood. That initial, explosive excitement around AI, it seemed to be cooling off. And a lot of people were wondering if the revolution was just turning into, well, another piece of tech. So let's just set the stage here. This idea that AI was hitting a plateau, that progress was slowing down, it had really started to become the conventional wisdom. And look, this wasn't some niche opinion from a few skeptics. Major publications, we're talking the Financial Times, the New York Times, The Economist, they were all asking the same thing. There was a real vibe shift going on. This feeling that maybe, just maybe, this technology wasn't the runaway train we all thought it was. So people were starting to get comfortable with this idea. After that initial shock and awe period, it started to feel like AI was powerful, yeah, but maybe not world-altering. More predictable, a little less magical. So that was the story everyone was telling. But was it actually right? Well, it turns out that just as this whole narrative was taking hold, something was happening behind the scenes that was about to completely shatter it. And this is where our story takes a really sharp turn. The setting for all this, it's one of the most prestigious, most difficult programming competitions on the entire planet. We're talking about the International Collegiate Programming Contest, the ICPC. You got to think of this as the Olympics for university-level coders, the absolute brightest minds from around the world in teams facing off in this grueling 5-hour challenge. They're solving these incredibly complex puzzles. It's a true test of human ingenuity and raw programming skill. Okay, so check this out. This is the final leaderboard from the World Finals. You see the best human teams in the world. St. Petersburg State, University of Tokyo. The top human team, they solved an incredible 11 out of 12 problems. Amazing. But then you look at ranks 1 and 3. And those aren't universities. Those are AI models. Google's Gemini 2.5 put up a gold medal performance, solving 10 problems. And sitting at the very top? A perfect score. 12 out of 12 problems solved. Not a single human team managed to do that. This wasn't just AI keeping up with the best humans. In this specific high-pressure test, this was a clear, superhuman performance. Now, to really put this into perspective, just listen to Boris Minvev. This is a guy who actually won this exact competition back in 2015. He points out that just a year ago, AI really struggled with these types of problems. And now, it's blowing past the best human teams. And his conclusion is just staggering. If this pace keeps up, he says we could be looking at actual scientific discoveries made by AI as soon as next year. So yeah, the result itself is mind-blowing, but how the AI got there, that's arguably even more important, because this victory is fundamentally different from other AI wins we've seen in the past. Okay, to really get why this is such a huge deal, let's compare it to something else. Remember when AI models did really well at the International Math Olympiad? Well, those were special, unreleased models that were fine-tuned specifically for that one competition. But the models in the ICPC? Nope. They were general-purpose, publicly available models. They had zero special training for this contest. And you don't have to take my word for it. An OpenAI scientist on the project said it directly. They used a group of their standard models, basically straight out of the box. This wasn't like building a custom race car for one track. This was like taking the family sedan out on the racetrack and winning the whole thing. And this wasn't just an OpenAI fluke. Like we saw, Google's Gemini was right there with a gold medal performance. Right around the same time, xAI's Grok 4 set a new record on a different, really difficult benchmark. The common thread here is the powerful part. These incredible, almost unbelievable results are now coming from standard models that are pretty widely available. So, the crucial point, the big takeaway is this. We've crossed some kind of threshold. Demonstrations of superhuman ability are no longer just these secret, specialized projects happening inside research labs. This level of capability is now starting to emerge right out in the open. And that, of course, leads to the biggest question of all. So what's next? If AI can now beat the very best humans in a complex coding competition, where do you aim that incredible power now? And the answer seems to be a huge shift away from winning games to solving science. You know, if you just look at the history of AI progress, you can see a clear path. Back in the 90s, the big benchmark was mastering chess. Then in the 2010s, it was the vastly more complex game of Go. Now, here in 2024, it's mastering elite human competitions like the ICPC. The next logical, and frankly far more profound step on this timeline is automating scientific discovery itself. And that's exactly where the researchers' heads are at. OpenAI's Jacob Pachocki basically said that these competitions were just milestones. The real challenge, the real goal now, is to apply this incredible reasoning power not just to a 5-hour contest, but over months and years to solve the open-ended problems that really matter. An AI commentator put it so well. The era of proving that AI is smart enough to win our games and competitions, that's probably over. The machines won. So now, the labs have to turn their attention to the only true challenge, which is unraveling the unsolved mysteries of science. So you can see this new mission for AI taking shape, and it's a vision shared by leaders at both OpenAI and Google DeepMind. Step 1, prove your skills in contests? Check. Done. The next steps are all about applying that power to accelerate discovery and ultimately to tackle the biggest challenges humanity faces. Things like curing diseases. So at the end of the day, this isn't really a story about an AI coming to replace human programmers. It's about the end of one chapter and the beginning of a much, much more exciting one. The goal isn't to compete with us anymore. It's to become this incredible, unprecedented tool that lets us discover with it. Which really just leaves us with this one final thought. We've seen AI break the limits of what we thought was possible in games and competitions. Now, as we're standing right on the edge of this new era, the most exciting question has to be, what fundamental limit of human knowledge will AI help us break next?